and gents, Rocco Yaps Cinema. This is gonna be my first video for this channel. Little quick rundown about the channel and like what I have in store and what I have in mind. It's just basically anything movie and TV show related. I love I love art in general, but I will say that when it comes to cinema, when it comes to movies and TV shows and everything that goes behind it, I do find it fascinating and I enjoy it a lot more than other art styles. Now, with that being said, I will be, your typical movie reviewer. I watch a movie, I give my opinions on it. Why was it good? Why was it bad? What they did good, what they did bad, and what can they do in the future. But I also want to be a little my own thing. So um, you'll be seeing that in the future, and I hope you stay tuned for that. But my first video is about the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. As you can see on your screen right now, fucking Freddy watching you. This is how I want to be doing these type of videos for the meantime. I don't know if I'll change this in the future, but little quick like information for you just to get the scope of things before we get into talking about the movies and my opinions on it. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, I didn't watch it on its release, but when the second one was coming out, I did proceed to watch the second one. In preparation for the second one, I did watch the first one, obviously. The genre is supernatural horror, thriller, mystery, and suspense. It was made with a pretty small budget. I mean, for a movie that comes out in theaters all over the world and shit like that. 29 million, grossed over 290 million, a little bit over. So it's obviously a fucking success in terms of investment. Came out in 2023 in October 27. It was directed by a woman named Emma Tammy, and it was starring Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Leo, Piper Rubio, and Matthew Lillard. Some of those you probably should know who they are. The plot is just basically this dude named Mike who has a little sister, night job at a security place called Freddy Fazbear's. And as he works there, he finds out there's a dark, murderous past with these animatronics, and they seem to be possessed, and they're acting all fucking weird. Now, if you're aware of the lore, this is not fucking anything new to you, but if you're someone that was introduced to the FNAF lore via the movies, or you want to get into it, that's basically the story. In the game, you play as a security guard who's hired to stay from 12 in the morning to 6 in the morning. Just being a security guard, checking the cameras, making sure nothing goes wrong. And you, as every night proceeds, so does, the animatronics and their poltergeist and suspicious and weird activities and whatnot. Now, when it comes to the movie, though, and my thoughts on it, as the slide says, for it to be the first, as an opening for potential sequels and potential franchise, maybe, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty decent. I think it was solid and strong enough that when you combined the budget, as I explained, it was made with a budget of less than 30 million, and you combine that with how much it grows, which is almost 300. It's like, it's a pretty compelling argument that, the fans loved it enough, and it was considered a solid movie, combined with how much it grows, to be like, okay, it deems a sequel. It deems to be tried again. Critics are always gonna be, weird. What I mean by that is there's been many times a movie comes out, critics bomb it, talk shit on it, this is fucking ass, and comes out to the general public, and we all love it, and we're like, what the fuck are those fools smoking? So I give the rating of like, I would say like a 6.5 for the first one. Like I said, I do enjoy the FNAF lore. I got into when I was like in middle school, and obviously, if you got into it, it was probably because of game theory and their theories about the FNAF lore. Fucking Matt Pat. He even came out in the movie, by the way. Which is something I'm gonna be talking about in a little bit. But what I did like that the first movie and the second movie did was the attention to detail to the community. And that surprised me. And what do I mean by that is Matt Pat having a cameo, they knew that's cool for the movie because he's such a big part of the lore. Matt Pat with on his YouTube channel Game Theory for fucking years has been a major player in the FNAF like uprising of like people getting into FNAF, because the most compelling part about these games is the lore behind it, and the fact that we don't know 100% of the lore. We don't know exactly how the puzzles fit, how the pieces fit to the puzzle. And he was the first and biggest guy to try to put those pieces together with using actual like all the information and all the data that was disposed to us by Scott the creator. And then also you have a cameo from Corey Kenshin, who's like, it's also cool because he was a big pioneer of like making the game a little popular back in the day when he was playing it on his YouTube channel. And I'll go on the second movie when I talk about the second movie, how they implemented that too. But just little details that are specific niches to the community and implementing them into the big screen, I thought that was cool. Now, going into the second movie, the newest one, same thing, supernatural horror, thriller, mystery, and suspense. They upped the budget this time, almost by double. 45 million, still really low for a movie that's going to be like a box office movie. And it didn't make as much, but at the same time, by the time this is coming out, it's only been like a week and a half, around that, a little bit less than 2 weeks, or around 2 weeks that this movie has come out. It's still gonna be played for at least 3 more weeks in theaters and stuff like that. So, but it's made 100 million, so it's already made more than double what you put into making this film. So it's already a box office success in that regard. And people seem to like this one more. I generally do. I don't have it that much up. The first one I gave it a 6.5. I'm gonna switch it to 6.3 because this one's a 6.7. It's not enough for me to put it a 7, but it's close. And this came out December 5th. Emma Tammy returns as the director, and starring the same people. It's just that this time you're adding McKenna Grace and Megan Fox, who voices Toy Chica, which was just a random fucking fact. Plot is the same thing. Yes, with the whole Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria and haunted animatronics and possessed animatronics and stuff. But spoiler going into it. But in the first movie, part of the plot was that Mike has a little sister named Abby, and he's having a hard time being an adult with responsibilities and dealing with his own trauma from his brother being kidnapped when they were younger, and having to deal with that while also raising his little sister as kind of like a daughter. And the aunt wants to take her away because, not because she's nice, but she's a fucking asshole, and she doesn't really care about the girl. She just cares about the checks that you get from the government. So in that movie, towards the end, the aunt is kind of like babysitting Abby, the little girl, and she gets attacked by Freddy. And I thought she died, But in the second one, it says that it opens up with, you know, she lived and she's out there saying, like, I was attacked by Freddy Fazbear animatronic that, was walking around on its own and seemed possessed. So, she was sent to a psych ward because obviously no one's believing her and she keeps insisting. And that kind of sparked like this local folklore and tradition of like a boom of Freddy Fazbear, like everything. People are dressing up. People are, part of the movie is that they have this whole celebration. As you can see in the photo I have, that's from the scene where they have like this festival dedicated to like Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, like Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria stuff, dressing up, contest, all that. But just like in the movie, and just like in the book, look at me. Just like in the game takes place in a different pizzeria with different animatronics, same characters but they're toy versions, and introduces the marionette. Now in this movie, it kind of takes the same plot as the games, where the marionette was the one that was the first victim, and then it kind of like was responsible for putting the souls of the other kids back into the animatronics and kind of being a vengeful spirit that really wants to like get its get back to William Afton, the one responsible behind the killing of the kids and all that. That's like the main focal point of the plot of this movie. Is it opens up with the marionette. It opens up in the pizzeria of the location of where the toy animatronics are at. It's a whole new pizzeria. It's supposed to be the first pizzeria, and that every other pizzeria was like a chain, so they didn't have as much as the very first location. Like the first location, for example, has fucking water ride in a lake that goes in between the restaurant where you sit down and you eat and stuff like that. It's like, what fucking location has what facility has the resources to do something like this for a pizzeria, for a Chuck E. Cheese? Imagine you go to a Chuck E. Cheese and there's just there's just in the corner, there's just like, oh yeah, there's a race car track that goes around the fucking pizzeria and the establishment. You can just drive around and fucking go karts. It's like, what the fuck? Who has the money for this? But whatever. Thing is, she dies and she possesses the marionette. It's her favorite. It's her favorite fucking thing, to the point where like she doesn't even want to hang out with her friends. She just sits down and she literally in the movie just fucking sits down and waits for the marionette to come out. Like they have scheduled every so often, every couple of hours or whatever, marionette comes out of the ground and it moves around and it pretends to be orchestrating the toy animatronics while they're singing and shit like that. You know. Apparently, this is her fucking favorite thing in the whole world. She doesn't even want to hang out with her friends and eat pizza and fucking, be a kid. She'd rather sit down and just stare at this like platform on the ground, waiting for the fucking marionette. Now, this movie has some very questionable, just like decisions. Like I said, very spoiler warning. I'm not gonna hold back in talking about the movie, but basically, for my anime fans, if you're watching this, you're probably an anime fan. But for my anime fans, think of it like this: it's like with the Naruto show, it was leading into Madara being the big bad at the end of the show. The whole war started by him and Obito. Obito was like the second in charge because of Madara and his vision and everything. And then they pull the 180 and they're like, no, Madara was also being used and he was a puppet for Black Zetsu. And Black Zetsu was the one. Black Zetsu was basically like an Obito for Kaguya. Kaguya is the actual real big bad ending of the story for Naruto. And you're just like, what the fuck? that's kind of the same thing with this movie, because these private, like, not private investigators, but these kids that go around making a YouTube show, whatever, about going to haunted locations and like, you know, they go around trying to film ghosts in haunted locations. They get invited to the first location, which is supposed to be like the toy animatronics and the marionette, by a security guard that works there, who his name is Mike, and it's revealed that it's Michael Afton, so the son of William Afton and the sister of the brother of Vanessa. So he kind of sacrifices those paranormal investigators to the marionette and to the establishment in a way. It's just that the only thing that he wasn't planning was that they broke the music box that kind of sleeps the marionette. Like, it keeps her in a transit state of sleeping. And now she's cuckoo crazy bananas, going bonkers, possessing the other animatronics. And she's also like influencing the little girl Abby and making her think that the animatronics, the toy animatronics, are her friends, like the ghost friends, the ones from the first movie. And then at the end, it's like, no. And it takes the whole movie of like, okay, this is the big bad of the movie. It's Vanessa and Mike and Abby against the marionette. You know, the vengeful spirit of the marionette controlling the toy animatronics, and you know, they're out and about in the town and stuff, as you can see by the fucking photo I have. And then at the end, when they're in Mike's house and they're about to kill Mike, it's just like, oh no, remember, the marionette is not the big bad of the movie. It's Michael Afton. And that's when they reveal his name is Michael Afton. And he's like, oh, I'm continuing the legacy of my father, and you should do the same, Vanessa. Come join me. And she's like, no, this is my home. This is my family with Mike and Abby and whatnot. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, if we were going to have that, like, I don't know. I just felt like they could have, it could have been part more of the lore. Because, like, it literally is just one scene, the first 30, like, 20 minutes of the movie. Like I said, these paranormal investigators come to the location. They were called by the security guard, Mike. And he's kind of creepy and he's kind of weird. And he's kind of giving you these, like, psycho glances and smiles. And then, you know, it kind of seems like he didn't give a fuck and kind of almost sacrificed them to the place. And then he runs away when he notices that the marionette's music box is broken and that the marionette is no longer going to be like sleeping dormant. And he runs away. And then the whole movie happens. And then at the end, like the last 15 minutes of the movie, he just comes back and he's like, I'm Michael Afton. I was the one in charge of all this going down. Dun dun dun. And it's like, oh, like, I don't know. It just, I feel like they could have done more with that. And they could have implemented it more. I thought it was just so dumb to just be like, introduce him at the beginning and just forget about him. Like, I'm not joking. Those are his only two scenes. And then there's a corny scene where I couldn't help it but cringe. But it's because, like, I called it out on accident. So, you know, they're having problems. They can't stop the toy animatronics. They can't stop the marionette. Mike doesn't know what to do. He wants to protect, you know, he wants to protect Abby, his little sister, and everything. And he wants to stop what's going on. He goes to the location from the first movie that's supposed to represent the first game, and he's standing there in the middle of this emptied out, rubbled place, and he's just like, if you cared about Abby, if you were really friends with my sister, it has to be now. You guys got to save her now. We need your help now. Because take in mind, in the movie, the first animatronics from the first movie have been nowhere to be seen. Mike has been lying to Abby, saying that they're broken, they're scattered, broken all over the pizzeria, and that, you know, he's gonna fix them so that way she can have her friends back. But he's lying. He just doesn't know where they are. They're just gone. And he goes to that scene, and when he's doing that scene, I was jokingly like, "There's no way." Is he like calling the fucking Avengers? Like, is he assembling the Avengers? He's gonna call them for backup, and we're gonna see like them help out and fight the toy versions of them, of the animatronics. And then the movie continues. Like I said, they're in their house. They're getting ambushed. They're getting cornered in the house. Toy animatronics are there. The marionette's there. And then out of nowhere, the fucking toy animatronics start getting pieced up. They start getting their heads ripped off. They start getting, like, overall just murdered. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then it's just like, ain't no way. And the first animatronics from the first movie, they did come. They destroy the toy animatronics. Afton gets scared and he runs away, and he gets knocked out in the front yard by a character that was introduced in this movie that's a friend of Mike's. And then the ending is pretty solid, and I did enjoy it. And I thought it was like, okay, that's good enough for like to deem like the third movie, like to be excited for the third movie. And the ending was that the kids were saying that the reason, like the ghost kids that are possessing the animatronics from the first movie, are saying that basically they're saying that the reason they weren't around is because they were focusing the majority of their strength and energy to keep him at bay, to keep him like imprisoned. But now that they have done this, they don't have the energy and they're going to heaven. Like the kids are finally going on, they're moving on, they're going to heaven, they're getting the peace. But they said, but with that comes the price that he is no longer imprisoned. He is now free again. And that he will be stronger than before. And you're like, who the fuck are they talking about? Now, if you put two and two together, they're most likely talking about William Afton, who died in the first movie by the spring lock in, in the suit, crushing him to death. Now, also the marionette was defeated by a fucking music box, which it was funny because Mike was like holding it like a gun, because the marionette was possessing people. It possessed Vanessa, it possessed the paranormal investigator girl in the movie, and then it possessed Abby, and it was using Abby possessed to torment Vanessa, and Vanessa was by herself in the house, and that's when Mike came out of nowhere with the music box, with like a new music box, and was holding it like a gun towards her, and then the marionette just goes and it just slips away, and then Abby's on the ground, normal. Which I will say, despite it was funny, kind of corny, I did really like how the design of the possessed people looked when they were possessed by the marionette, especially the little sister, the girl that plays the little sister, Abby. They did look terrifying, and especially Abby did look pretty scary. Like, I wasn't shitting my fucking pants, but I did find it very well designed, and it did look creepy, especially how she was floating around laughing, and she had this big ass smile. She had these abnormally large, freakish like marionette puppet fingers. It was a pretty good design. But at the end, it reveals that Mike can't trust Vanessa because she never, in both movies, she has withheld information from him that causes problems for him, and especially his little sister Abby. And when they're about to go somewhere, I don't know where the fuck they're going. I don't know if they're going to a hospital or whatever because they're in Mike's house. But him and the friend that was introduced in the movie that knocked out William in the front yard, the three of them, so Mike, the friend, and Abby, are walking out. Vanessa's behind them. Mike turns around right at the front of the door and goes, "No, stay away from me. Don't come near me or Abby ever again. I can't trust you." Yada yada. And he leaves. They all three leave. She's heartbroken in the front door, just kind of staring there. And then in the background, you can see something moving towards her. And then when it gets close to her, she like opens her eyes and exhales, and then you could see that obviously the marionette is possessing Vanessa. So that's kind of like a cliffhanger to that. And then if you stick around, fucking Marvel style, post credit scene, it leads into the third movie where these guys break into the first pizzeria from the first movie, and they're trying to get anything Five Nights at Freddy's because, like I said, in this town, in this place, it's a big boom. So they're trying to build a haunted attraction place filled with Five Nights at Freddy's stuff because it's Five Nights at Freddy's themed, you know? So it's like, get anything that could really make the place look good. And one of the guys, because they're about to break the whole shit down, you know, they're finally going to destroy the building so it's no longer going to exist. And a guy in the back says, yo, look what I found. And it's revealed to be an animatronic, but it's not just any animatronic. As a matter of fact, it's not even an animatronic. It's William Afton in the Springlock costume, dead. I mean, they even said it, and you could see it for yourself. It looks kind of like rotting. Like the suit is kind of looking rotting. It's kind of old looking, and they're, you know, the three guys that are there, they're like, damn, this smells fucking terrible. Like it smells like ass, and they don't know is because there's a dead fucking decomposing body in it. But he's like, oh yeah, we're taking this, and they leave to go get more stuff, and it's just kind of him sitting down there, and then out of nowhere, his left eye turns on, meaning like the kids were saying that they were holding him prisoner in the spring lock, not being able to be active, but then moving on to heaven, to the afterlife, has left no one to put like imprison him, and now he's just like the kids. He's possessing this suit. Now, transitioning into the future of FNAF 3, I think with it being a little better, the jump scares were definitely better. Um, I think jumping into going to the third one, the people loved it a little bit more, or even a lot more than the first one. It's already made double what you put into the movie, so it's already a big success. It hasn't even been 2 weeks, or it's been right on 2 weeks, so it's already a success that you made slightly more than double your overall budget for the movie. But in my opinion, these are what the crucial things that the franchise needs for the future. Is number one, change the rating. I think the rating is killing these movies because in the first one there wasn't any type of gorish thing except for William Afton getting spring locked and dying, and the noises he was making. That was it. You didn't really see any blood. You didn't really like. It wasn't like super crazy. It was just noises, him twirling around, the actor, you know, giving his performance, and then he dies. In the second one, like I said, there's more jump scares, there's a little bit more horror into it, and there's a little bit more gore into it, which I thought was good. For example, one of Abby's professors in a school fair for robotics, funny enough, he dies in a janitor closet room to Toy Chica. Toy Chica crushes his head and he dies to that. You're not showing it, you're not showing much blood, but that's something. And then one good kill is, like I said, when the paranormal investigators were getting kind of like sacrificed in a way, the guy that's in charge of the camera, who stayed with Michael, the security guard, Michael Afton, he gets caught by Mangled. So he looks up and Mangle's right there, and it like jump scares, loud noise goes down, picks him up, his camera falls to the ground, and we could see through the screen of the camera, you know, blood trickling down and then body parts falling down. But you can't really see it that very good, but you know what it is. Like, it's good enough to where you know what's going on. It's not good enough to where it's, whoa, like, look, that's a shit ton of blood and body parts just coming down. And I think that's them kind of trying to push as much as they can while keeping the PG-13 rating. And I just think that if that's really hindering these movies, I really do think that for the future of FNAF 3, and if they want to make more, they have to change it to PG-13. Because if we're going based off like the games, it's only getting more kind of scarier and serious from here. You know, the third one is very dark, it's very gritty. You know, you have scene where Michael is literally burning alive, and William Afton's burning alive. Like, you know, you get the famous line where he's like, "Michael, you can't leave me here, Michael." Because the plot of the third one is that it's not a pizzeria, it's a attraction, just like how it was kind of being established at the end of the second one, where these guys are stealing Freddy pizzeria stuff because they're building a haunted attraction that's dedicated to Freddy Fazbear because there's a big boom in the town. That's the lore of the third one as well. Is that there's a haunted attraction centered in the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria lore of the haunted kid, of the murdered kids and the weird stuff going on, and that William Afton's body was picked up and is now the animatronic that's kind of haunting this place, and that the lore is his son William Afton comes to this place, and he comes with this place with the sole purpose of burning it, of ending his father's thing. So I think that's kind of interesting what they're gonna do, since a reveal in the second movie is that, you know, William Afton is trying to follow in his father's footsteps and whatnot. So we'll see how, you know, there'll be changes to that in the story. But overall, I think, you know, just lean into that rated R. You don't have to go super crazy and blood and gore and stuff like that. You don't gotta go fucking Terrifier on us. But I think having the liberty of what the rated R rating could bring to the people behind making these movies, I think that will free them a lot to do a lot more things. And I mean, it's a story about fucking a serial killer murdering kids and stuffing them in animatronics and stuff like that. Who cares about these kids, man? Change it rated R. Second thing, I think they gotta change the director. I think they gotta get a director with a little bit more experience, especially in horror. Because the decisions, like I said, decisions in these movies and the pacing and stuff like that is just, I don't know. I think it's just very questionable. I think she did good enough to establish it, but hey, other franchises have had multiple directors. I mean, hell, look at Harry Potter. You got damn near one director per movie, and there's 8 fucking movies. And it's not like any of them did bad, you know? First one did amazing, second one and third one, and it just kept going. You know, but you just gotta have someone different. And I think they need someone different behind the chair, behind the camera, calling the shots. Third point, leaning a little bit more into the horror and a little bit more of the gore. That just goes in tied with changing the rating. I think the freedom of having that rated R rating could open the door for them introducing a lot more horror and a little bit more gore. Not too crazy, just, you know, a little bit. Keep introducing these niche stuff from the community. Like I was explaining in the first one, they are doing very good when it comes to stuff that is like in the community, not even in the games. It's in the community of people that love the games. You know, like I said, they put MatPat in the thing, they put Corey X Kenshin in the movie, because those are people that are in the niche of the community. Like, they're established figures in the community. Another thing that happened in the second one that I thought was fucking random but super hilarious is that Mike and Abby are in the first location from the first movie. Abby is sad that she can't hear the ghosts, she can't see them, she can't talk to them, nothing. And to cheer her up, Mike's like, "Oh, you get to pick one toy from the toy section that are in the rubble and stuff." And he picks up a plushie of Freddy, but it doesn't look like Freddy. It's like that dumb meme plushie Freddy. And then when he squeezes it to make noise, it's not Freddy. It's the horror, you know, the goofy fucking har 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 sound from the me. So it's like the fact that they just thought about that and they recreated that and they brought it for the scene. I thought it was very interesting. It was very random but very funny, and it was like, you know, it was very good for stuff like that for the community. I think they should keep doing stuff like that. One, two, at most three things where if you're part of like the Five Nights at Freddy's community on the internet, you would be able to be like, "Whoa, that's funny," or "That's cool that they put that." And the last point is continue to have Scott Cawthon, I hope I'm saying that right, around influencing the decision. So far, he has been. If you don't know who he is, Scott is the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy's games and the books, and he's in charge of the whole lore. Having him be somebody who's influencing the decisions is still very good. I think that should just keep doing that. Obviously nobody knows the lore more and better than him, and plus it's his creation, so like that's being brought to the big screen. It's not like it's like a comic book, for example. You know, bringing someone's creation to the big screen. Same thing with him. You're bringing his games to the big screen. His lore is now on the big screen for everybody to watch. So that's what I kind of think is should happen for the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 movie, because they're definitely going to make it. Like I said, the second movie already made more than double the budget, and it's kind of being reviewed a little better than the first one. In my eyes, yeah, it's better than the first one. I'm gonna stop changing my rating, but this is my last final rating. I give the first one a 6. It was okay. It was solid enough. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy these movies because I am somebody who, like I stated earlier in the video, from the beginning, like around middle school, I was very interested and very into the Five Nights at Freddy's games and the lore, and I was kind of there at the beginning when the big boom of people making videos and speculations and theories about the lores and stuff like that. So, not from going from there, from that kid who was at the beginning of all this boom to now being an adult where we're having live action movies about it, I did enjoy these movies. Second one, I give it a rating of 6.7. It is a big better, in my opinion, than the first one, but it still has a lot of questionable decisions and pacing and just overall decision making. But it's not good enough to be like a 7 for me. So it's 6.7. The rating of 6, a solid 6.0 for the first one, and a solid 6.7 for the second one. Now, with that being said, I have nothing more. I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope you guys agree. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. I have no problem with you saying that I'm right, or trying to prove that I'm right or that I'm wrong. I have no problem with you guys saying that I'm wrong. Just tell me how I'm wrong and explain. And I love to explain why your claim is right or why your claim is wrong. But thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this. Thank you for making it this far. Make sure to subscribe and check out my other stuff. And hope everything goes well for you guys. God bless.